Hi everyone, it's Kim. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. So today I'm bringing you another cook with me, and today we are going to be making Salisbury steak. Yes, I said Salisbury steak. And today's recipe will be 7 SmartPoints per serving on the blue plan. Trying to think of my ingredients. I think it's going to be 7 SmartPoints on maybe the purple to run that through your recipe builder just in case. But a friend of mine, Tina, gave me this recipe and said it was amazing, and I tried it once before and I don't know why I didn't film it because I should have just filmed it, but it was absolutely amazing. So today I'm going to film that recipe for you so that you can make this in your own kitchen. Only calls for a few ingredients. I add extra mushrooms because I love mushrooms, so this is right up my alley. So get ready. You guys are going to be loving this recipe. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit that notification bell just so you can be notified of any upcoming videos on my channel. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get started, I thought I would give you a quick rundown of the ingredients we're going to need. Now, the original recipe comes from Campbell's, the Campbell's website, and I'll try to find that and link it below. Otherwise, I'll just link the ingredients that I used below because I did change those up just a little. But I'm using 93.7 ground beef. I pulled out this one, but then I realized it didn't have any of the details on it, so I went ahead and grabbed the other two. I think I picked this up at Sam's Club. Nope, BJ's Warehouse. I think that's where we were at last night when we grabbed it. It's always a struggle. So yeah, BJ's is where we bought this one. So I'm gonna need 1 pound of the ground beef. Now the original recipe does not call for mushrooms, but hello, mushrooms. I needed some water. It also called for beef gravy, and it just called for 1 can of Campbell's beef gravy. I'm using the Heinz because Heinz has the fat-free, so that's awesome. I needed some breadcrumbs, so I just have some Italian breadcrumbs here, 1 egg, and then I'm gonna have to chop up some onions. So it calls for 1 small onion. I'll probably use half of this and just go ahead and put more onions in it because I am using that big pack. Yes, I'm gonna use all the mushrooms, so good. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started, and I will be back with you as soon as I get a couple of these things measured out and chopped up and ready to go. Okay, the first thing we're going to need to do is get this onion chopped up. So I have my sink over here next to me, and I'm trying to keep my arm out of the way. I would normally do an overhead angle for you guys on this, but I'm trying to get this together really quick today. So we're just going to work with the angle that we have. I like working next to my sink so that I can just use my sink as kind of a garbage spot and clean it out when I'm done. So it just makes my life so much easier. So we're going to do half of this onion, and I'm just going to give this a rough chop. And I'm going to leave the mushrooms kind of in, bigger chunks, so it doesn't really matter to me how the onions are. At least for half of them, I would say. We're gonna want to pull the onions into the burger, which so here's the thing. If you really don't want to see the onions in your burger, you can totally chop these really small. I could put them in my food processor. I really don't care how the onions look, so this is probably not gonna look the prettiest, but it's gonna taste amazing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and continue chopping these. And like I said, if you want these really tiny, you can take your time, chop them a little smaller, and have that go through. But to me, that's fine. It's just totally fine how it looks. So there we go. And again, that's probably about a small onion, so I think that's good. So we have that ready to go. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to start to put together our meat mixture. And yeah, let's put together our meat mixture. That way we can just pull everything together at once. I'm just gonna go ahead and make my mushrooms because I need to pre-saute those with some extra onions. But I think we'll just we're gonna wing this. We might just go ahead and use that whole onion just to kind of get it out of the way. All right, so the first thing it says we need to do is we need to mix the beef, the breadcrumbs, the onion, the egg, and the water in a bowl. And then basically divide it by 4, I think is the easiest way to say that. So this meat here, I'm just gonna bring you in a little bit. It's supposed to come apart real easy right here. Just a little tearing thing. I don't know about you, but every time I have these, I always fight with them. Sometimes I just find it easier just to cut the package open. But this one actually opens really easy. Perfect. All right, so 1 pound of 97.3 ground beef. The next thing we need is we're going to add in our egg, and I'm just gonna give that a quick little, just gonna beat it a little bit here, kind of like this. All right, so we're just gonna dump that on top. We're gonna add in our onion, and again, I'll come back and do the rest of this onion. I'm just gonna set it here. I'll come back and do the rest of that onion when I'm ready to make my mushrooms, and I'm just gonna again just do it again, just a really quick rough chop. So you guys already see me chop onion. I'm sure you don't need to see me chop another one. All right, so it calls for a splash of water. Just gonna grab a spoon here and knock over my big thing of spoons. Calls for a splash of water, actually calls for 2 tablespoons, but we're just gonna eyeball that and put that in. Also calls for 1/3 breadcrumbs. We're gonna pop that in, and we're gonna go ahead and give this a stir. I'm eventually gonna have to stick my hands in this. I'll let you know before I do that, because if you are one of those that doesn't like to watch that part, you guys can just not watch. I try to just chop it and mix it as well as I can before I throw my hands in it, but sometimes it just doesn't mix as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and get our hands in here and just get them all dirty. All right, so ring off. It's nothing worse than getting things stuck in your ring. Out the counter. I just washed my hands before we got started, so we're good to go. So we're just gonna go ahead and give this mixture a quick little thing. And I know you're gonna think it's a lot of onions, but trust me, they're gonna taste really, really good. And again, I added more onions than I was supposed to because we like them. And I don't mind seeing the onions in my Salisbury steak. Of course, if you're cooking for kids, you may want to hide the onions. Mince them very, very small. All right, so that's looking really good. Now, I was surprised with this recipe that it only called for a 1/3 cup of, I'm just gonna try to separate this, that's not even. So I was surprised that when it called for a 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs that it didn't call for more, but I'm telling you, that 1/3 cup worked perfect. All right, I'm gonna try to see if I can just eyeball this. That's a little better. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I guess I should make these into patties first, shouldn't I? All right, I'm gonna wash my hands and we'll come back. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I went ahead and chopped our onion. Hold on, I'll show you, look. There it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and shape these into patties. And I know that means I had to wash my hands twice, but it's okay. That one looks a little big. And you can see these are really big. These are 1/4 pound. I guess it would be a 1/4 pound, right? So I like to flatten them out a little bit more. You can make them into the oval shapes if you want. Shape them however you want. To me, it's good. I'm not going for a cooking magazine view on these, so it's totally fine. And if I really wanted to get accurate, I could pull my scale out and measure it to make sure that they're all evenly weighed and making sure the points. To me, that it's fine. It's going to be 7 points per patty. If it's a little bit more, trust me, I did not have to join Weight Watchers because of the fact that I miscalculated my Salisbury steak by 1 point. So we're not going to worry about that. Those onions are so funny. All right, no judging with the onions. I know it looks funny, but it's good. All right, so we got those. I'm gonna wash my hands one more time. We're gonna go over to the stove and we're gonna get this recipe rolling. You're gonna just be shocked at how quick this comes together. Trust me, this is gonna be one of your go-tos. All right, so I have both my pans on my stove. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn them on. That's one, here's two. I think I'm gonna use that. All right, so I'm just gonna spray my pan with some cooking spray, which apparently I'm gonna have to buy some more of. All right, so that's one, this is two. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our onions into this pan, along with those mushrooms. I think I'm just gonna pour some water in the pan just to kind of keep it going. Now, normally when you make these, you would put a tablespoon of oil in the pan. The last time I did this, I did use the oil, and that accounted for 4 total points of the recipe. So I'm gonna try it today without the oil and see how it does. And if that's the case, I'm gonna bring this recipe down to 6 points. All right, there's a lot of mushrooms. I'm gonna have nice big chunks of mushrooms, and it's okay because even if I don't use all the mushrooms in this recipe, I can use these in eggs. I can have, just sauteed mushrooms and onions later in the week. So that's why I go ahead and get the big pack and make them, because I really like them a lot. All right, so we've got that ready. Got our other pan going here. Gonna get my burger patties. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put some water in this pan, and you guys know that I love my pot filler. That my husband did for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw some water in the bottom of this pan. First of all, to keep things from sticking, and second of all, just to kind of let's keep the meat patty moist, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to throw these in my pan. And if you guys have been with me for a while, you'll know that I do this trick all the time when I'm using lean beefs or turkey, because of the fact that it just keeps your burgers moist. I mean, there's nothing worse than biting into a burger and it's just totally dry, which is kind of some of the issue that you have when you are making some of these recipes with the leaner meats. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep stirring this. I'll pop back here about in between when this starts to kind of come together, but I'm sure you don't want to watch me saute things. I'll probably add some salt and pepper to the mushrooms once I get a little closer. And I'm going to also top my burgers with some salt and pepper now too, before that really gets started. So, all right, I told you guys it was pretty quick, so let's keep going. Okay, so while our mushrooms are sauteing, I also wanted to tell you, you could also make this in your crock pot. So if you want to just go ahead and brown your patties, you wouldn't even have to cook them all the way through, just brown them on each side, and then what you could do is throw them in your crock pot and then just dump your raw onions and your raw mushrooms into your crock pot, throw your gravy on top. You could totally just let it simmer all day long. So I mean, that's another variation that you could do. But I kind of just wanted to kind of throw it together really quick. I didn't think about that this morning. Otherwise, I would have given you guys a crock pot version. But at least this way, with me doing it this way, you guys get 2 different variations to think about. I really think that other one would work out really well. And again, if you don't like big mushrooms and mushrooms aren't your thing, the recipe did not call for mushrooms. I added those on my own. Plus, you could kind of chop these up smaller. But to me, like I said, I'm a mushroom fan. So super excited to have big old chunky mushrooms on mine. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this continue going. I like to always just let the mushrooms kind of cook down before I add any salt and pepper to them, because of the fact that, I don't know, maybe I heard in the past that it kind of slows down the cooking process on the mushrooms, or I don't know. I heard something, so it could have just been in my head. Let me know in the comments if you have heard the don't add salt to your mushrooms until they're almost done rule too. All right, so we're gonna let this keep going and I'll be back. Okay, so our mushrooms, I tried to put the fan on, so if it's really loud, I'm sorry. The mushrooms are done. I'm gonna move these off the heat, and you can see now I have like half the pan full, but they're ready to go. I'm gonna pull those off, turn this one off. And then we're going to concentrate on our patties. So I'm going to bring you a little closer on those. And I'm just going to gently flip those off to the side. And you can see these do get browned. I let the water kind of dry out a little bit and pull together here. And again, they don't look the prettiest, but they sure do taste good. So we're going to go ahead and let them cook on this side, and then let these fully get done. Once I get the burgers done, I'm going to add some more salt and pepper to this side. So once I get the burgers done, I will come back and I will finish throwing this together with you. A little bit of salt. All right, so we're going to let these finish cooking, and then I will be back. All right, so what you can see here is I did not use any oil. There was enough oil from the burger to go ahead and brown these up. So I am going to call this a win on this experiment, because I wasn't sure how these would turn out without the oil, but I think it did perfectly fine. And they browned up. I think they turned out better than they did the first time. So I'm going to let these cook just for a few more minutes, and then I am going to put these together. So normally what you would do is you would go ahead and drain the oil, which we don't really have any, and I would just pour the brown gravy over the patties, and you would serve it that way. But again, I just kicked this up another little notch with the mushrooms and the onions, so it's just going to make it so much better. All right, so 6 points, super stoked. So glad I tried this. All right, hang tight. I'll pull this together, and we will show you my plate. Okay, I'm about ready to make me some fancy mashed potatoes. You ready for this? I'm going to take 2 cups of hot water and put it into my measuring cup. Now don't blink, you guys will miss it. All right, that's in. I'm going to grab a fork out of my drawer here. I'm going to take some instant mashed potatoes. Here we go, 4 SmartPoints for these. Pop those right into this bowl. And then I'm going to give it a quick stir, and I'm going to walk away. Now while this is thickening up, which doesn't take but a minute or two, I'm going to go and get my Salisbury steak ready. So let's walk over to the stove and put this together. Okay, so on my plate, I just have some canned green beans here that I heated up. I'm going to grab one of these patties. Yeah, we'll just grab this one. I'm gonna grab one of these patties, and then I'm gonna top that off with some mushrooms. So 1 patty, extra mushrooms and onions. How's that? All right, so we're gonna run back over, grab some mashed potatoes. So let's get over there and do that one next. I should have brought everything over here, but I have kind of a limited space going right now, so hang tight. Okay, so I have those mashed potatoes. I'm just going to give those one quick little stir here. And that's it. I mean, if you're not making mashed potatoes on a quick, easy day, to me, they just make things so much easier. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add in some mashed potatoes. And I'm just going to add in probably 1/4 of this bowl. There we go. And then I went ahead and heated up 1/3 cup of the brown gravy. So I'm just going to pour that over. Okay, you guys ready? Let me just kind of get a little more in here. All right, so watch this. This is where the magic happens. Throw some over the mashed potatoes. All right, so what you see here is a 10-point dinner. How amazing does that look? So good. All right, so hopefully you make this in your kitchen. Trust me, it is a winner. It doesn't get any better than that. And as much as I'd like to say that doesn't look like a pretty plate of food, that looks like a pretty plate of food. So with that said, signing off from here. Hope that you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget, again, leave me some comments below, and we will see you next video.